So we've seen how we can use more than one criteria on the same field in an Access query, but where we're going to make real use of our querying skills is being able to use multiple fields for our criteria. So if we create a new query in Design, Customers table, and we'll have a look at the first name, the last name, the city, a birth date, marital status, gender, total number of children, and occupation. So a number of fields have been chosen there. And when we view, we get to see all the columns for everybody. Let's just widen up some of the wider columns. Now, if we want to do some multiple criteria filtering here, we may, for example, want to see all married males who are skilled manual workers. So it's married males who are skilled manual workers. Well, we go into Design, we make sure we're in the correct column on the criteria field. So for married, we know we put an M. Got to be a little bit careful here because it's trying to pick one of the built-in functions. The gender, we put an M. Again, it's trying to pick functions, so we just click down. And their occupation is skilled manual. Now notice that Access has quite happily put speech marks around each of my criteria. And when you place criteria like this on the same row, so they're on the criteria row, M, marital status, M, gender, skilled manual, and the occupation, each of these criteria must be true. So you'll find we get a much smaller record set as a result. In fact, there are 1,485 people that fulfill our criteria, being married, male, and skilled manual. Let's add a further criteria. They must have no children. In Design, total number of children is 0. That adds a fourth criteria into the result and will further filter the data. 305 now. Let's also say that they must have been born in 1970s. So at some point in the 1970s. So let's use a wildcard here, combination of wildcards in fact, like open speech marks, wildcard. So the beginning of the date can be anything. At some point there must be a / 1970 question mark and then close the speech marks. So that way we're saying anybody whose year is 1970 and then any character 0 to 9. And before the 1970 whatever, there must be a / and then anything before that. So that's any month and any date. Click down, criteria seems happy, and view. And that's chopped our result down even further to 242. And you can see in the birth date, everybody was born in the 1970s. So that's multiple criteria. And you can see we've been able to multiple criteria on date fields, number fields, and text fields using any of the comparison operators we've already used, the betweens, the more thans, the less thans, the wildcards that we have used here in the birth date field will all work together. It is possible to join together multiple criteria and or on the same column. For example, in the occupation, if I also want to add in clerical workers, I could add that on the or line and then view, and you'll see now that our records go shooting up to 3,172 because it's brought in the clerical workers. However, for the clerical workers, it has not applied the other criteria because I can see here this person's got 2 children. They weren't born in the 70s, they were born in 1949. They are married and male, but they don't fulfill the other criteria. The reason for that is you need to read these lines separately. So we're saying line 1, they must be like 1970 something, married, male, no children, and skilled manual. Then line 2 is or they can be clerical. So none of these other criteria apply to the clerical workers. They will just be brought into the result of this query because they're on the or line. Now we have 2 ways of making it so the clerical workers have the same other criteria as the skilled manual. And we could just copy these criteria down into this line. So say that criteria must be the same as here. So I can copy, paste. Same for the marital status. Copy and paste. Copy and paste. And I could just type another 0 faster than I can copy and paste. Then we'll find that they are still all now born in the 70s. They are all married. They are all male. but they could be skilled manual or clerical, and there's actually 308 of them. Now that is a little bit long-winded if we suddenly decide to add in a third occupation, such as management, but still wanting the other 4 criteria in place. An alternative would be to remove these so that I'm not repeating myself, and effectively take this clerical option and place it in here as or clerical. So that way, by using the or in the same line, it's skilled manual or clerical, but it's this, 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 and this that must apply. And we'll find we should get the same 308 people, and we do. So that's an issue when dealing with trying to put ands and ors together. So it's and when it's one criteria in one column and the criteria in another and the criteria in another. But when you have multiple criteria in the same column, they're ors. So the occupation is skilled manual or clerical. It cannot be an and because it cannot be both. It can only be one or the other, or another that's not in our criteria, such as management and professional. So that's multiple criteria across multiple columns.